Well, hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us for this Education Transformation 2020 presentation, Trading Spaces, Designing a Virtual Learning Space. My name is Danny Shapiro, and I'm on the marketing team here at Hawks Learning. Our speaker today is Professor Becki Streett of the University of Arkansas at Little Rock. Professor Streett is a senior mathematics instructor and the coordinator of core mathematics at the University of Arkansas at Little Rock. With nearly 30 years of experience teaching mathematics, she advocates for approaching math courses like a camp counselor, connecting students through discussion and collaboration in a safe environment where everyone can be heard. We are very excited to have her with us here today to share all of her knowledge and insights. If you do have questions as we go through the webinar, please enter those into the Q&A box and we'll address them at the end of the talk. And on that note, I want to go ahead and hand it over to our presenter.
Hi, welcome. I'm so glad you guys are here. I'm going to talk about trying to create a virtual learning space now that we're out of the classroom, at least for the time being. I don't know what it's like at your schools, but we're still not sure what's going to happen in the fall where I teach, so it should be interesting. So I'm kind of preparing for probably doing a lot more online. But even if I do face-to-face, I think I'm going to use some of these new ideas I'm going to show you. So let me show you, oops. Yes, okay, so basically where I started to have problems is when we moved from the classroom to the computer screen. I've taught online classes a lot before, so those weren't so much a challenge to me. It was more having to take face-to-face students and have them suddenly face being in an online class. In the spring especially, none of them asked for it. That's not what they signed up for, so I was trying to mitigate their angst and my own angst the best I could. So I started thinking about how I can get all the necessary content to students who are not used to having to find everything online. When you teach face-to-face class, obviously, during class, you can remind them, oh, don't forget homework is due Friday, or we have a test next Monday. You give them handouts, physical handouts. You're there to remind them of things. And if they're not used to an online platform for all of that, it can be kind of confusing. And I didn't want them to just like totally disengage. I wanted to keep them engaged and for them to still feel like they were getting some kind of personal interactive experience. So I started thinking about my syllabus is way too long, and that can't be the thing that I tell students, because probably all of you guys have had the same issue where I would get 20 emails a semester at least asking for things that were in the syllabus. And I'm sure you all know what it's like to send that email that says, look in the syllabus. But then I started thinking about my own syllabus. We're required to do one. You can see I have the whole thing right here. It's 7 pages long. I'm sure not a single one of my students has ever read all of it. And to be honest, I have never read my own syllabus because there's so many like boilerplate little paragraphs that we have to include to satisfy our university. And I'm not like against getting rid of that. I understand there are all sorts of reasons for having that, but I didn't want my face-to-face students who are suddenly sitting in an online classroom to have to just rely on, oh, go back and read the syllabus and you'll find what you're looking for. So a good friend of mine named Christy Jackson, who may be here today, she sent a great article about doing these Google Slide classrooms. And I think the article was actually more for like K through 12 teachers, but it really seemed exciting. Here's an example of one. This is just, I'll get into more detail, but basically it's kind of bringing in my personality, doing my Bitmoji on there. It's one-stop shop. On here, they can literally find everything they need. There are direct links to the homework system. There are direct links to my 7-page syllabus. There are direct links to the calendar, to an online calculator. I have little funny Easter eggs that they can click on, and if they click on this toilet paper roll right here, they get Rickrolled. If they click on my cat, that's Stoffer, they get sent to a little video about kitties. But I was really surprised how much students kind of embraced it right off the bat. I was worried that they're college students, they may think this is a little hokey, but I've only gotten great responses. And I think it's a little less intimidating for them to go around and play with, because if you click on any underlined word or any photo of anything, it's going to take you someplace. So I started thinking a couple days ago what kind of observations I've made since I started using these. And I just started using these at the end of spring semester. So I did a couple slides for my spring semester classes. I've already finished one summer class. It just finished last week, and we did this the whole time. And I have a new summer class that just started yesterday. They're also doing that. So this isn't a huge group of students, but probably almost 200 students that have at least been exposed to the slides in my classes in some way. And honest to God, I've not gotten a single one of those, where is the, or when is the email from students, which is unprecedented. So right there, that's worth it, because I think they realize they can just look in their slide. It's also increased my virtual engagement. Every semester I've tried things like discussion boards, and in math, I've never had success with them. I know in other subjects, discussion boards work better, but I've never really gotten students to engage that way. They wouldn't engage with me that way, and they barely engaged with each other that way. But what I've done is kind of a new virtual engagement where I have them, this last summer term especially, they would share recipes, they would share photos of their dogs and cats and memes, and it went on for pages and pages and pages. By the end of the semester, we had created this Google Doc of anything you can imagine. I feel like the students really got to know each other better than at least they ever have in any of my other classes. It also increased the number of virtual office hours. So far, I just have, if a student wants to spend time with me, I just arrange a Zoom meeting. Sometimes it lasts 5 minutes. Sometimes I've had them last up to 30 minutes. But in the past, I could never get students to do anything like that. But with the slide, for whatever reason, I think it kind of helps. They're less intimidated to set that up because it's just a very direct way. I had students have less missed work and I got great feedback from students. I'm already getting them from my new students, just how they like the slides and they're fun, and it makes the class seem less scary. Probably most important though, is it's kind of re-sparked my joy of teaching. It's been really fun for me. I'm a big fan of arts and crafts anyway, but it's really fun to create these slides and come up with different ideas, especially when the students tell me, oh, I love that one, or you should try this. I've gotten a lot of ideas from my students as well. Another thing that's kind of surprising, I added this last one just yesterday, was that at the end of this last summer semester, I asked my students, I give them a survey asking them a lot of different questions, and several students mentioned that they used Khan Academy, which in math I always try to get my students to use, they never use, and they used the online math lab a little bit that we have at our university. Both of those I've always had trouble getting students to take advantage of, but I had a couple students who were in my math classes previous to this who got the same advice from me, use Khan Academy, use our online math lab, but didn't until it was in the slide. And they commented themselves that now that it's in the slide, they're actually using it. So I feel like all of those are good reasons to keep going. I'm by no means an expert. I'm sure a lot of you out there probably can do a lot better job of this than I can, but it's something I'm really excited about, and I think I'm having a lot of success with. So I thought you guys might be interested as well. Here are just some examples. These are not so much virtual classrooms. This is something I'm currently doing for Arkansas Governor's School, where I use the same slide idea to there's a slide to introduce the people teaching in math. And then I also have these project lessons. So each slide is kind of a lesson. So there are lots of different uses for this. I was thinking, this is how nerdy I am or how much I love this, it'd be a really fun Christmas card to send people, because all of these you literally just download as a PDF and send it to your students, or post it on Blackboard or on Hawks Learning or whatever learning management system you're using. And it's just a simple PDF, but it's interactive. You can use it on your phone. I do it on the phone all the time. And it's just a kind of fun way to include a lot of information and make it less scary, I think. So I was going to show you the class I just started. Yesterday, this is the first thing I sent them. So this is a slide I always do for each semester, where if you click on my face, it'll directly take you to my email address. I have all of my videos posted right here that I made. There's a photo of my class calendar, but also if you click on it, you actually get the PDF of the calendar. More Easter eggs, like with my cat and the toilet paper. Little smiley face, if you click on it, it takes you to my university's counseling services. The syllabus is located there, a toolkit which contains the syllabus, calendar, all that. There's a direct link to the homework. There's a direct link to free tutoring. There's a graphing calculator. If you click on Tips for Success, it has this really great article I found about being a college freshman. And so this is the first slide they get. And then also along with that, this is their first week. And the thing I really like about these is it helps for lots of different learning styles. Some people love checklists. And so I did ask students in their survey, did you use these little underline links or did you tend to use the pictures? And it was about half and half. You can get to the homework in several different ways on here. You can get to the videos on several different ways. You can get a lot of places several different ways, which I think works well. You can't screw anything up. I tell students, if you click on something, you're not gonna end up down a black hole. You'll be fine. You can get back to your slide easily. But that's kind of what I've been doing and what it looks like. And with each week, I will add to this. So the students will get a new slide deck that has the opening slide, week 1, and then week 2, etc. During the summer for sure. I don't know if I'll keep all 15 slides in the fall, probably though, because it's an easy way for students to kind of go back and forth. And this is a slide I've created for you guys, and I will send you guys this PDF, or Hawks will send you this PDF. It's everything that I could find that could help you get started. So it's kind of a great library or resource. Shows you how to create your own Bitmoji if you want to. For me, I like that. My students always comment on them. So I think it's kind of a way to interact with me a little bit. I'll show you how to get free images online. We'll do that in a minute. And I use a lot of my old photographs as well. I'll just pull them in. There is a link for accessibility right here. Google does a lot of great things where they can do a screen reader. They can do captions for people with learning differences. There are a lot of ways to make this accessible to a lot of students, which is amazing. I just talked about how to add Easter eggs and just kind of how to be creative. This is Google Slides. If you prefer PowerPoint, there is a way to do PowerPoint, and some of you may know this already, that once you create your interactive PowerPoint, you can turn it into a PDF. I think it works kind of the same way, but I've never done that myself. But I do have a link to get there. Over here, there are lots of different things that I would encourage you to play with as you're trying to build these if you never have before. So this kind of shows you how to do all of the kind of nuts and bolts. So with that, let me move one more. What I want to do now is let's design a space together. I want to kind of show you what I do, how you get started, how you get free images, how you remove backgrounds and do links and stuff. So I'm going to escape this. And yes, I'm looking at questions really quickly. Yes, they definitely can be incorporated into Blackboard LMS. Again, it's just a PDF. It's like any, syllabus, anything you have. Where do you post it? Yeah, same kind of questions. Like I said, I email these to all my students. I post it in Blackboard, and I post it in the learning management system. As I update it, the deck gets bigger throughout the semester. I'm sure you could do it on WebEx as well. It's been a while since I've done that. But again, it just works like any kind of PDF. So what I want to do is get some, how do you create cartoon questions? Okay, or how do you, sorry, I'm not even reading correctly. How do you create cute cartoons of yourself? There is a link in here, right here, that talks about your Bitmoji, kind of by where that little camera is. And then there's also a link, the little purple box right here also takes you to the same place, but this will show you how to download it to your computer. And I don't know if you guys can see this little green box kind of in the top left of the top right of my screen. When I click on that, I have the Bitmoji things right there, and you can type in anything. Like a good one I think is to do pose, because it does just kind of all different body shapes where you can kind of have those around your, pull them over, and you literally just pull one of these to your screen, and then, and you may, you don't even have to do the screen on this, sorry. You can pull it directly to right there, and your Bitmoji's there, and you can make it as big, as small as you want. You can, if you click this little insert link button, you can do that, and then you can type in whatever you want right there. I usually, when it's my Bitmoji, I usually put my email address there. So students always know they can click on my picture anywhere and it'll go directly to my email. So I would encourage you to do the Bitmojis. Like I said, they're on this slide. They're super easy to do. You can also, if you have one on your phone or iPad, you can find even more and just email them to yourselves and then drag them onto a slide easily. To tell you the truth, I have not had any students that needed special accessibility yet, because I just started these at the end of the spring. But like I said, I've read the site with all the different things they have, and they have a lot of suggestions. Like if you do have students maybe who have vision issues, you could do a dark and light contrast helps better with them. There are a lot of those, but I haven't used them myself much. Yes, I do all of mine on a MacBook, actually. and you can use them on your Mac, yeah. So let's go ahead and create one, and I'll kind of show you. So let's say we're just starting with a brand new one. If you go to, I'm going to go to my email, and I don't know if you have Google. If you don't have Google email, you should get one, even if you don't use it for anything, just so you can use the Google Suite. And if you go to slides, it will take you here. And you'll see the ones you see over here, all the different slides I've done, but you can use, you could start with a blank one, and that's usually what I start with. But when you do that, you have lots of different options. They have different options to the side if you like layouts like that. I'm too much of a control freak, so I like to completely design my own. But the first thing I usually do is just delete those two squares because you don't need them. If you go to background, you can change to whatever color background you want. So that's that. You can, they have all sorts of different themes. You can change the layout, but basically you don't need to mess with those so much, is just start with your blank canvas. And then what I would do, for instance, is put a picture in the background first. And I usually start with photos I have already, or if I need a photo of a clock, I'll just take a photo of my own clock. And I couldn't find a free image online for a TI-84 calculator because I guess it's trademarked. So I just took a picture of my own calculator, and I'm free to use that photo. So that's the photo I use for my calculator, for instance. So you can use a lot of your own photos as well, but I'll also show you if you've never done it on Google. So let's just make one of these together. So here's where I want your here's where I need your suggestions. Can someone just in the Q&A give me a suggestion for what kind of classroom or lesson we want to learn? It can be any subject. Do you want it to look like a classroom? Do you want it to look like a lesson? Does anyone have any ideas? So we can start there. Okay, so someone just said, where do you get the cool libraries and bookshelves? So I'm going to do my library right here. This one I got actually. I took this when I was in Dublin at the Trinity University Library, but if you look online, you can find a lot of those. And so let me show you what I mean by that. I'm going to go to just regular Google, and let's say we want library. And let's click on images. And there are a lot of images, but a lot of these are not free, and you're not supposed to use them. So if you notice, if you've never done this before, if you go right here to settings, kind of under that little camera, and do advanced search, at the very bottom where it says usage rights, if you click on that, click on free to use or share. And that will only show images that you're allowed to steal or use. And so you're not going to get as many, but you'll still get a lot of great ones. So you can see we have lots of choices right here to choose from. And what I do is I just, let's say I pick this one, you just drag it over. I'm going to go back to my slide, and let's say we want to use that instead. And you can make it as big or small as you want. Sometimes, like this picture isn't great, but you can get some ideas for pictures. So that's the first thing I would do, is find cool backgrounds for whatever you want. I use bookshelves from my own house. I take pictures of them. I took pictures of my own desk, but you can find free ones all of the time. How do I get students used to the you know what, all I told them, all I literally do is say, everything you need for this course is in this attachment, download it and start clicking around. And I can tell immediately that they've done it, because suddenly my learning management system class is full. Everyone's gone in there. So I know that's worked. I think you'd be surprised letting them play around. They get used to it really quickly. Okay, someone just said they like the coffee shop idea, so let's look at that. And here, since my Google search is already under this labeled for non-commercial use, you don't have to go through all that again. If you just type here, say we want a coffee shop, all sorts of different coffee shops that you could add to your room. And you can add multiple pictures. I think that's kind of fun. You could decide to put, you know, that up here. One thing that took me a minute to get used to, even though you guys might realize this, but since this coffee shop came second, it's always going to cover anything before it. So if you actually want it to be under that, then what I do is click on the older thing, I do cut, and then paste. And now it's the one that can be on top. And sometimes you want that, because if you're going to drag a picture over another one, that's what you want to do. Okay, someone else said they want to work with verbs. So what I would do next is up here where you see the little, well, first, even before that, what I like to do is go to shapes, and I usually just do a square. but you can kind of create a box, and then you can change the fill color. Let's say we're going to make it yellow, and then the outline will make it red, make it a little thicker. So that's our little box. And then if you click on text box right here, you can make a big text box within it, and you can change your fonts, change your colors. Let's say working on verbs. I'm sure there's a more exciting name for that, but you can do all the regular things. You can make it centered, you can change the color, you can change the font, you can change the font size. And another thing we might do if we're working on verbs, let's say we want to do a little checklist. I have a checklist that I got off of Google, free images, and you can just drag that on there. And then what you could do, what I always do, is do a little text box on top of this and start out with watch video. And obviously we're going to have to make this bigger. You can arrange it. You can make the actual font smaller so it fits a little bit. And let's say you have a great video on YouTube that you want. What you do is you take anything that you want to link, like say video, and you highlight it. Then you push this little chain link button, and you would put in your video. Here's one that's popping up. This is not one about verbs, I'm sure, and apply. And so now when a student clicks on that, it will automatically open a new window and take them to that video. And then your next thing, you could go down and say, read article. Oops. Sorry, I'm messing up. Read article, and say you have a great article online. Same thing, you could underline it, click the link. I'm just going to say whatever comes up. That's not right. And do that, and so forth. And then you could also say we want an image. What image would go good with our library verbs? Does anyone have an idea? Functions? Okay, let's see what we get when we do functions. I have no idea what's going to come up. So here's some images for functions. Okay, I'm just going to grab one. Again, let's just take one and pull it over. And I have it on there. I'm going to go back to my slide, pull it back over. It will lie on top of the library because it came after the library. You can size it all you want. You could make it a link to say an article or a page or anything you want. And let me show you how to do the backgrounds, how you can do things where they have no background. So let's say we're going to search for, I'm going to do a dog. So I'm going to pick one of these dogs, and I will pick this guy, pull him over. Now, if you go to this site right here, I think it already have it. Okay, this is remove.bg, it means background, and the link is on the slide I'm going to send you. All you have to do is to take your image, and this was a dog with a background, but if you drop it on there, it gets rid of the background for free, and so it makes it super easy to put it in there without it having all, looking like a photograph. So I'm going to download it, look at him to make sure he looks good. I like to move him to my screen because I'm lazy and like to pull everything. Just drag everything over. So we have this dog. So now I can just take the dog and have him, oh, that's not the right one. Let me find the one with the background, with no background. Oh, he's up here. So let me get rid of this guy. This dog is the one we want. And so you can have him sit wherever you want, and he has no background. Now let me show you how to add my Bitmoji. I'm going to come here, and I want my Bitmoji to say verbs. And basically any word you give it, it will do that. And so I'll take this one, and you can literally drag it right here and make it as big or small as you want. Move it to wherever you want. I think there's so many cool things you can do with this. It's creative and interactive and fun, and I would encourage you guys to play with it. I don't think that you can't mess it up. It's super easy. Once you have this, so let's say this is the one we want to keep. You go over to File, and if you say download, you can download a lot of different ways, but to kind of have that interactive PDF that you're gonna send to students, I just do it to PDF. And then there you have it, where you can just literally send it as any PDF or post it like any other PDF. Is it easy to include? Yes, it's super easy to include alternate text. I've done that several times. What else? I'm trying to decide which way is. How do you get the students? Okay, let me get out of here for a minute so I can see you guys better. How about that? I'm gonna quit sharing my screen. And do that. Okay, so Danny, have you seen any questions that I've missed or that you think I should go to next?
Yeah, so how much time do you typically invest per slide when you're making these?
Way too much personally, even though you could do it a lot quicker, but I could waste 10 hours doing these. I have so much fun, but when I've kind of had to do one quickly, it's like Sunday night and I realize I need the new week slide, I can easily do it in 30 minutes. And you know, there is that learning curve, so I've gotten to the point where I feel a lot more comfortable with it, but it doesn't take as long as you would think. And like I said, you can make it as elaborate or as basic as you want.
We had another question asking how exactly you got the students interacting with each other by using the slides.
Yes, so one thing I had to do, which took me years, but I finally made peace with Google Docs. I hated it forever and said I was never going to use it, but I finally, about 2 years ago, started understanding it better and learning how it worked. And so I usually have a link to a Google Doc that I share with all of my students. And so they go into that Google Doc and they can comment on anything that's already in there. They can add whatever they want. And so it is updated each week as they get their new slide or anytime they go to the Google Doc.
And we had a few questions asking where. I know you explained that it's just a PDF and you can add it into Blackboard and really add it anywhere you can add a PDF, but do you have a particular place that you typically add these into the LMS?
Yes, I do it on announcements. And so if you look in my announcement, it'll say week 1 and it's just the short slide, and then week 2, week 3, even though what I think I'm going to do is just every week, just update it. So it's the same slide, but it just, the same deck, but I've added the newest slide. On Blackboard, I just have it under content. And then the biggest thing, and what students have said in surveys, is the biggest thing is they just wait until they get it Monday morning in email. And that's where they use it the most, instead of actually going to get it from the LMS or Blackboard.
We had a couple of comments in here just with people adding in their own functionality. Elizabeth says you can use a range to easily just move images back and forth and on top of each other without having to do cut and paste.
Good to know. I didn't know that. Thank you.
And we had some questions on if you can add a checklist in,
Yes.
which we had comments back on saying, yes, you can. So that adds some interactivity to the elements. I saw a few questions asking about how to link images, and I know you showed linking a text, but do you think you could show us that part of it?
Yes, let me show you. Let's Rickroll somebody. So I'm going to share my screen again. We're going to go back to our dog. How about that? Okay, so remember this little dog we have here? Let's say we want him to Rickroll somebody. So what I'm going to do is go to YouTube. And I'm going to say Rickrolled. And here's one. Let's see.
What color are mirrors?
I want to make sure there's no bad words or anything. Ah, this is too long. Let me find a better one. There are millions of them. We'll just do the original one. Okay. So if you don't know, this is what it means to get Rickrolled. Like you accidentally click on something and suddenly you're having to watch Rick Astley's never going to give you up. And I've had students who have been like in hacker clubs and stuff and say they've always Rickrolled everyone they know. They've never been Rickrolled before until my class. And so I'm very proud of actually having been able to Rickroll some people. But all I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this URL. And then I'm going to go to my dog. And I click on him. I'm going to go to the link. And right here, I'm going to paste that YouTube thing and apply. So now if someone clicks on him, they'll go straight to the, does that help? Does that make sense? Yeah, no, okay.
Yes. And we had a question asking if students need a Google account to be able to view slides.
Nope, it's literally just like a PDF of anything.
And we had a couple questions on if it can work with Canvas, and you said because it's PDF, you can just add it into any LMS no matter what you're using.
Mm-hmm.
And we also had a couple questions asking how you export it out of the Google Slides and save it as a PDF. Do you think you could show that?
Yes, oops, but I forgot to share my screen again. Okay, let me share my screen again. Okay, so I have it here. I'm gonna go to File and Download. And I always do PDF. I don't really know what the other ones do, but there may be some amazing things there that I just don't know. But so I click it on that, and then I don't know, I have a Mac, so it may work differently from yours, but now I have this. This is what the slide looks like. And as you send it to your students, oh, well, there. Sorry, I didn't mean to Rickroll you again. But as you can click on it right there, but then you just send it to your students just like you would send your syllabus or a worksheet or anything, or post it like those as well. So for face-to-face class conversions, how much am I teaching synchronously? I do right now for just my regular classes, I do once a week where the whole class can come, and I usually have maybe half come to that where I just do a Zoom thing. Besides that, it is more they watch, most of the rest is asynchronous. That answers your question. Oh, show how to link it on Blackboard. Yeah, okay, let me see. That's not what I wanted to do. Okay, so what I have is, let me see if I can get into one of my Blackboards. So if I go to my Blackboard, hopefully it'll let me in. Yeah. Let me try my other one. I'm teaching Governor School right now, so I have one at that college as well, but this is my normal one. Okay, so let me go. I truthfully am not using Blackboard this summer, so you'll see what my Blackboard thing says. Let me go to one that's going on right now. So see what mine says, we will not be using Blackboard. Check your ULR email instead, because all I do is send them this slide and then they use Hawks as well. But what you could do is, my little slide thing is, you could just add any kind of, I gotta get on edit mode. You just add any kind of content you want. Well, I don't wanna do that. Let's say I wanna add it here. And I could just say item, slide. And then if you go to attach, let me find one of them. So hard because I have so many screens open right now. If I go to, I know one of these is a slide. Here's one AGS. Okay, here's a slide. I just open it. And if you notice right here, I'll say course slide. And then here's the alternative text, which obviously they have on Blackboard. I can say slide explaining lesson 1. I spelled that terribly, but you get the idea. And so you just submit it and you literally just post it in like you would post any kind of anything on Blackboard. Do the transitions work in PDF mode? Transitions meaning
So what? I think we had a couple questions asking just the difference between a slide and a slide deck, and then how you sometimes, whether you were posting one slide or if when you added slides, did it become multiple? Did it expand the deck as a whole? How did you deal with that?
Yeah. Okay, good. So here's one slide that we did. So all you have to do, again, the commands for Zoom are on top of everything, so I'm having a little trouble. Okay, you could just go to slide and do a new slide, and it'll give you a second slide. And then you can add as many slides as you want to your deck. And they're all different kind of options. Like I had mine spinning as a cube, but you can have them just going where they kind of go through as a regular movie screen almost. You can save just a single one. You could save them all as one. Even if you have a deck, you can save them individually if you just want to send them the second slide, for instance. But yeah, you can make them one slide deck, or I don't know what the max is. I've never done more than probably 8 in a slide, but I'm sure you can do a lot.
Yep.
And one question I see real quick that I want to answer, because are my students traditional age? Maybe 30% of them are. I have a lot of non-traditional students, and they actually tell me it's a lot easier for them to work on this than trying to navigate when I have a separate calendar and syllabus and a link to the homework and stuff. So I've had a lot of success actually from the non-traditional. I thought it would be more like the younger gamer students that would like it, but I think the non-traditional do as well. Okay, could you please name the icon you click on in Google Slides to add a link? Oh, okay, so that icon is, okay, let me do this. So here's the thing. It's this little, do you see that where it looks like a little chain right there? That's what you would do to do your link on anything. And you can change your link. You can change the actual picture. You can even link it to the next slide, which I've done before. So say the second slide is going to be all about verbs. I could say, okay, I want to pick the next slide, and it'll link straight to the next slide as well.
And we had a suggestion from Aubrey who said the Bitmoji craze for educators is a Facebook group that has a lot of wonderful ideas. I don't know if you've used that before.
So many, and that's what I would say. I tried to include it in, let me go back to this page that I had for you guys. All these resources here, there's so many great YouTube videos, articles to read. People are doing amazing creative things that just blow my mind. And someday I hope to do as well as they do, but I would encourage you to look and see what people are doing. It's pretty neat to see how creative people are. And like I said, it's kind of brought a spark back for me. So I hope it would for you as well.
Okay, Professor Streett. Well, I know we are running out of time, but we really appreciate you coming on and presenting. Audience, we appreciate all of your questions. We hope this was helpful. We hope we sparked some new ideas and that you can get creative in your classroom. We did record this and we'll send it to you. We will also send you the slides from today, the slide we built, the example slides that Professor Streett set up for you to give you all the tips on how to do this yourself as well. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Everyone have a great rest of the day. Take care.